There's a veil that hangs between us and the deeper layers of reality. A veil so finely woven and intricately crafted that, for most, it is invisible. But every so often, there are moments, fleeting glimpses, when we feel a weight lift, when the surface of things seems to shimmer and something profound slips through. This is not merely a mystical experience or poetic metaphor. This is a divine light activation, an awakening that has been whispered about for centuries, hidden behind layers of dogma, misinterpretation, and manipulation. It is not something that is new, nor something that can be easily explained in the language of the material world. But it is perhaps the most significant shift a human being can undergo, for it holds a key to understanding who we truly are and what we are capable of. What they don't want you to know about the divine light activation is this. It is not an external phenomenon, not something that you must wait for, nor is it some distant promise made by spiritual leaders or cosmic forces. The truth is much simpler, yet far more complex. The divine light is already within you, woven into the very essence of your being, waiting patiently for you to awaken to it. It is the spark that ignites the soul, the flame that burns eternally within the heart of existence. And when this spark is fully activated, when the light within you is unleashed, everything changes. But here lies the paradox. The more you seek the light externally, the more elusive it becomes. The more you look for it in doctrines, in teachings, in books, the more you remain in the dark. The activation of this divine light is not something that can be found outside of you. It is a revelation that emerges from within, from the depths of your consciousness. It is a state of being, a shift in perception that connects you to the infinite cosmos, aligning you with the universal truth that has been hidden beneath the surface of your existence. In the world today, the concept of divine light activation is often treated as something esoteric, something reserved for the chosen few, the enlightened ones. It is described in grand terms, spoken of in hushed tones, or presented as an unattainable goal. And yet, there's a fundamental truth that has been concealed. It is your birthright. You are not separate from this light. It flows through you, coursing within every cell, every thought, every breath. And yet, most live unaware of it, conditioned by a world that teaches separation, division, and limitation. The reason this activation has been kept from the masses is not a matter of divine withholding or cosmic mystery. It is a matter of control. For when humanity connects with this divine light, when the spark within is truly ignited, the world as we know it shifts. Systems of power, control, and illusion are no longer effective. For individuals who live in alignment with the divine light are aware of their boundless potential. They see beyond the limitations imposed by society and culture. They transcend the stories of fear and scarcity, seeing instead a world of abundance, unity, and peace. But the true activation is not something that can be easily manipulated or commodified. It is not something that can be sold, bought, or packaged. It cannot be granted by an external source or achieved through rigid systems of control. Instead, it is an organic process, a spiritual awakening that is as unique and individual as the soul itself. It begins when you turn inward, when you let go of the stories of limitation, and when you embrace the truth of your divine nature. There is a deep irony in this truth. The more you try to grasp with the light, the more it slips away. The more you attempt to control or force its awakening, the more distant it becomes. True activation occurs when you surrender to the process, when you let go of the need to achieve enlightenment and simply allow the light to rise from within you naturally, as it has always been. It is not about seeking or striving. It is about being in the moment, being in the stillness. Being in the recognition that you are already whole, already aligned with the divine, and that your soul knows the way. This is the most profound secret. You are the divine light. It is not a force separate from you, but an integral part of you, waiting to be fully acknowledged. And when you awaken to it, you step into your true power. This awakening does not just change you. It transforms everything around you. Your perception of reality shifts. The veil that has kept you blind to your true nature begins to dissolve, and you start to see the interconnectedness of all things. You understand the vastness of the universe, and you realize that you are not merely a fleeting, isolated individual, but an integral thread in the vast web of existence. Yet, the challenge remains. Why is this knowledge hidden? Why has this truth been suppressed for so long? The answer lies not in some grand cosmic conspiracy, but in the fear of what it means for humanity as a whole to wake up to its true potential. A world of beings who are connected to their divine light cannot be easily controlled or manipulated. A society built on separation, fear, and scarcity cannot maintain its power when its inhabitants remember who they truly are. And so, the truth of the divine light activation is obscured, twisted, and kept in the shadows. But now, the time has come for this truth to be revealed. More and more people are awakening to the recognition of their own divine nature. The veil is lifting, and as you read these words, something within you stirs, a recognition, a remembrance that this truth is not foreign to you. It is your birthright. The divine light has always been within you, waiting to be activated. It is time to reclaim your power, to remember who you truly are, and to step into light that has always been there. The awakening is not a future event. It is happening now. The question is, are you ready to embrace it? To fully grasp the essence of what they don't want you to know about the divine light activation, we must delve deeper into the core themes and concepts that underpin this extraordinary spiritual shift. These themes are not merely abstract ideas or distant philosophies. They are the bedrock of the truth we seek to awaken. They are the currents that run through our collective consciousness, waiting to be recognized and embraced. By understanding these core ideas, we begin to unlock the mysteries that have been hidden for so long, illuminating a path towards spiritual freedom, profound transformation, and cosmic understanding. The first and most essential concept to explore is the illusion of separation, the belief that we are isolated beings, separate from each other, from nature, and from the divine. This illusion permeates our everyday lives, shaping how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. It is a story we've been told from birth, reinforced by societal structures, institutions, and even our own conditioned thoughts. It is a notion that we are limited to our physical bodies, defined by time and space, and that our lives are disconnected from the vast expanse of the universe. But this belief is false, and the divine light activation is the awakening that shatters this illusion. In reality, we are not separate from the divine light. We are it. We are expressions of the same cosmic energy that flows through everything. Every star, every plant, every living being, and every particle in the universe. We are all interconnected, part of a vast, infinite web of existence. The divine light that resides within us is not something outside of us or separate from us. It is the very essence of our being, woven into the fabric of who we are at the deepest level. When we awaken to this truth, the illusion of separation begins to dissolve. We no longer see ourselves as isolated individuals, struggling to find meaning or purpose. Instead, we recognize our intrinsic connection to everything around us. The boundaries that once seemed so solid between self and other, life and death, heaven and earth, begin to fade, leaving only the boundless, interconnected whole. The activation of the divine light within us becomes a recognition that we are not merely a part of the universe, but the universe itself, experiencing itself through us. Another vital concept tied to the divine light activation is the nature of consciousness. Most people are taught to view consciousness as something that exists solely within the confines of the individual mind, a limited and isolated phenomenon. But the truth is that consciousness is not confined to the mind at all. It is the very substance of the universe itself. Consciousness is not a product of the brain. It is a field in which all life, all matter, all experience unfolds. It is a cosmic energy that gives rise to thought, emotion, form, and existence. And the divine light that resides within us is a direct expression of this universal consciousness. When we activate the divine light within, we are not just awakening to a personal truth. We are tapping into the universal consciousness that connects us to everything. This shift in awareness allows us to see beyond the narrow confines of our individual identities and perspectives, opening us up to a greater cosmic understanding. We begin to perceive reality not as fragmented or divided, but as a seamless whole, with each moment and each being intricately connected in the fabric of existence. In this expanded state of consciousness, we move from being passive observers of life to active participants in the creation of our own reality. We understand that consciousness is not just something we experience. It is something we embody, create, and shape. A third key concept tied to the divine light activation is the power of intention. In a world that often feels chaotic and random, it can be easy to fall into belief that we are at the mercy of forces beyond our control. But the truth is that we are powerful creators, capable of shaping our reality through the force of our intention. The divine light within us is not just a passive force. It is an active, creative energy that responds to the thoughts, emotions, and intentions we hold in our hearts. When we align our intentions with the divine light, we unlock the ability to manifest our deepest desires, not through force or effort, but through the flow of universal energy. This is not about wishful thinking or superficial desires. It is about aligning ourselves with a greater flow of the universe, tapping into the infinite possibilities that exist within the fabric of creation. When we activate the divine light within, we come into harmony with the universe's natural rhythm, and our intentions begin to resonate with the cosmic force that underlies all things. This is why the activation is not just a personal transformation. It is a transformation that ripples outward, affecting everything we come into contact with, bringing the light of our intentions into the world. The final core theme that arises from the concept of the divine light activation is the transcendence of fear. Fear is perhaps the most powerful force that keeps us trapped in the illusion of separation and limitation. It is a force that keeps us small, keeps us in the dark, and prevents us from stepping into our true power. But the activation of the divine light within us shatters the grip of fear. When we remember that we are eternal, boundless, and connected to the infinite, fear loses its power over us. We realize that there is nothing to fear in this life. No death, no failure, no loss that can truly separate us from the divine. We are already one with the source, and the light within us is eternal. This transcendence of fear is not about denying the existence of fear or pretending it doesn't affect us. It is about recognizing that fear is merely an illusion, a temporary disturbance in the vast sea of consciousness. When we activate the divine light, we begin to see fear for what it truly is, a passing shadow that has no real power. In the presence of the divine light, fear fades away, replaced by love, trust, and the knowing that we are eternally supported by the universe. As we align with this truth, we begin to move through the world with greater confidence, courage, and grace, knowing that we are divinely guided in every step we take. The divine light activation is not a distant goal or a mystical event that happens once in a lifetime. It is a continuous, ever-deepening process that unfolds as we awaken to these core truths, that we are not separate, that we are connected to universal consciousness, that we create our reality through intention, and that fear has no hold over us when we embrace the light within. As we move through this journey, we come to realize that the divine light was never hidden from us. It was always within, waiting to be activated. All that was needed was for us to remember. The concept of the divine light activation is as ancient as the human soul itself, whispered through the ages in the form of allegories, myths, and sacred teachings. These symbolic stories are more than just colorful tales. They are keys to unlocking the hidden layers of existence. Through them, we can begin to understand the deeper meaning behind the activation of the divine light and its transformative power. The light is not a mere force, but a living, breathing entity that weaves through our collective consciousness, waiting for us to awaken to its presence. To truly grasp the activation, we must immerse ourselves in the stories that speak of this awakening, for they are mirrors reflecting the soul's journey toward remembrance. Consider the story of Plato's allegory of the cave, one of the most profound allegories of all time. In this tale, prisoners are chained inside a dark cave, facing a wall. Behind them, a fire casts shadows on the wall, and the prisoners take these shadows to be the only reality, for they have never known anything else. But one prisoner is freed and brought outside, into the sunlight. At first, the light is blinding, and the freed man is reluctant to believe that what he sees is the true reality. He has to adjust his eyes, to acclimate to the brilliance of the sun, and only then does he realize that the shadows he once believed to be real were mere illusions. This allegory mirrors the journey of the divine light activation. For most of our lives, we are like the prisoners in the cave, seeing only the shadows of reality. We are taught to believe in the limitations of the material world, to accept the stories of separation, fear, and lack that shape our perceptions. But the moment we begin to awaken to the divine light within us, when we step out of the cave and into the sunlight, everything changes. At first, it can be overwhelming, disorienting, and even painful to face the truth. The light seems blinding because it illuminates all that we have ignored, all that we have suppressed, all the illusions that have kept us trapped. But as we adjust, as we learn and navigate the light, we begin to see the world as it truly is, interconnected, infinite, and full of possibility. The shadows fade away, and we realize that we are not separate from the divine. We are a part of it, and the light is within us always. Another powerful symbol that captures the essence of the divine light activation is the story of the Garden of Eden. In this myth, the first humans, Adam and Eve, live in a paradise, untouched by suffering or fear. They are in direct communion with the divine, living in a state of innocence and unity. But when they eat the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge, their awareness shifts. They begin to see themselves as separate, as individuals, and the paradise they once knew is lost. They are cast out of the garden, and they experience the burdens of fear, shame, and separation. At its core, the Garden of Eden story is an allegory for the human experience of awakening to the divine light. The garden represents a state of pure, undisturbed connection to the source, a state in which we know ourselves as part of the divine whole. The moment we eat the fruit, the moment we separate ourselves from this truth, we enter a world of duality, where we perceive ourselves as isolated and disconnected from the divine. The activation of the divine light is a return to that original state of unity and innocence. It is a recognition that we never truly left the garden, that the divine light has always been within us, and that we only need to remember our connection to return to paradise. The story of the phoenix, the mythical bird that rises from its own ashes, is another profound metaphor for the divine light activation. In this tale, the phoenix undergoes a process of destruction and rebirth. The bird builds a nest, ignites it with fire, and perishes in flames. But from the ashes, a new phoenix is born, renewed, stronger, and more radiant than before. This myth speaks directly to the process of spiritual death and rebirth. Each time we activate the divine light within us, we undergo a symbolic death, a shedding of the old self, the limiting beliefs, the illusions that no longer serve our highest good. And from this death, we are reborn, just as the phoenix rises from its ashes, transformed and more aligned with the divine essence. The phoenix represents the soul's journey of continual transformation, of constant renewal. Each lifetime, each experience, each moment of spiritual awakening is an opportunity to burn away the old, to rise again with greater clarity, greater purpose, and greater connection to the source. The divine light activation is the fire that burns away the ego, the fear, and separation, and it is through this fire that we are purified and reborn into a higher state of consciousness. Just as a phoenix is never truly destroyed but always rises again, so too is the divine light within us never extinguished. It simply awaits our recognition, our willingness to let go of the old forms and rise anew. Another powerful symbol that speaks to the essence of the divine light activation is the myth of a hero's journey, an archetypal story found in cultures around the world. In this narrative, the hero is called to adventure, often reluctantly, and embarks on a journey of trials and tribulations. Along the way, the hero faces immense challenges, encounters allies and enemies, and ultimately confronts a deep inner truth. The hero must die symbolically, let go of the ego, face their deepest fears, and transform into a new version of themselves. In the end, the hero returns to their world, transformed and empowered, bringing wisdom and healing to others. This journey mirrors the path of awakening to the divine light. The call to adventure is the moment when we are ready to awaken to the truth of who we are. The trials and challenges we face along the way are the moments of resistance, the moments when we are forced to confront our deepest fears, our insecurities, and our attachments. And the symbolic death is the moment of surrender, when we let go of the false self and allow the divine light within us to guide us forward. The hero's return is the moment when we fully activate the light, stepping into our true power and offering the wisdom we have gained to the world. Through these symbolic narratives, the allegory of the cave, the Garden of Eden, the Phoenix, and the hero's journey, we begin to understand the deeper truth of the divine light activation. It is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of awakening, transformation, and return to the divine. These stories remind us that the journey of activation is not without struggle or challenge, but that each step, each trial, and each moment of surrender brings us closer to the light that has always been within us. The concept of divine light activation, while deeply profound and cosmic in nature, has significant and transformative implications for the way we navigate our everyday lives. It is not merely an esoteric ideal or an abstract spiritual concept. It is a practical, actionable reality that we can integrate into our daily experiences. By understanding and embracing the awakening of the divine light within, we can begin to live with greater clarity, purpose, and connection to the vast web of existence. The question is, how do we apply this wisdom to the mundane, often chaotic world in which we live? The first step toward practical integration is the recognition that the divine light is not a distant, external force to be sought outside of ourselves, but an inherent part of our very being. This realization is not just a mental understanding, but a lived truth that must be embodied in the way we move through the world. Once we embrace the idea that the light resides within, we begin to shift our perspective from one of seeking to one of remembering. We are not searching for something out there in the world of external experiences, but rather, we are reconnecting with the deeper truth that already exists within us. This shift in perspective has far-reaching consequences. It frees us from the trap of external validation, the need for approval or recognition from others. When we recognize that the divine light already resides within us, we no longer seek our worth in the opinions of others, in material success, or in fleeting achievements. We begin to align ourselves with an inner compass, a higher sense of purpose that guides our decisions, actions, and interactions. This alignment with our inner truth allows us to live authentically, without the need for external validation or fear of judgment. In practical terms, this means that we can begin to make choices based on inner clarity and alignment with our divine essence, rather than being swept along by the currents of external expectations or societal norms. Our actions, relationships, and goals take on a deeper significance because they are no longer driven by egoic desires or the need to prove ourselves. Instead, we begin to live in a way that reflects our true nature, one of unity, compassion, and love. This doesn't mean that life becomes free from challenges, but it does mean that we approach those challenges with a sense of grace, resilience, and trust in the divine order. One of the most profound ways that the divine light activation can impact our lives is through the concept of awareness and presence. In a world filled with distractions, noise, and constant stimulation, it is easy to become disconnected from the present moment. We rush through life, constantly thinking about the future or dwelling on the past, never fully immersed in the here and now. However, when we activate the divine light within, we awaken to the power of presence. We begin to experience life not as a series of tasks to complete or problems to solve, but as a continuous flow of sacred moments, each one rich with meaning and potential. Living with this kind of awareness means being fully present in each moment, whether we are working, eating, or simply be with loved ones. It means approaching life with a sense of reverence, recognizing that every moment is a divine opportunity to experience the fullness of existence. This presence, grounded in the light within, allows us to see the beauty in the small things, the way the sunlight filters through the trees, the warmth of a smile, the taste of a meal shared with friends. The more we activate the light within, the more we can live in the state of deep awareness, transforming the mundane into the sacred. Furthermore, the divine light activation brings a profound shift in how we approach relationships. The more we awaken to the light within ourselves, the more we begin to see the light in others. When we no longer view ourselves as separate, but as interconnected with the divine flow, we begin to recognize that every person we encounter is a reflection of the same source. This recognition shifts our relationships from transactional to transformational. We no longer relate to others through the lens of need or dependency, but through a place of mutual respect, compassion, and unconditional love. This shift also allows us to transcend the judgments, fears, and insecurities that often define human interactions. When we see others through the lens of divine light, we are less likely to be triggered by their actions or words, for we understand that they, too, are on their own journey of awakening. This compassion and understanding lead to deeper, more authentic connections, where we can love and support one another without attachment or expectation. In essence, relationships become a mirror for our own spiritual growth, and every encounter is an opportunity to see the divine in another. In the realm of creativity and manifestation, the divine light activation also brings transformative possibilities. The more we align with the divine essence within, the more we tap into the unlimited potential that exists in the universe. The light within us is not a passive energy. It is a creative force, capable of shaping and manifesting our desires when we channel it consciously. When we activate the light, we become co-creators with the universe, able to manifest our deepest desires not from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance and alignment with the divine flow. This manifestation is not about forcefully pushing for outcomes or using spiritual practices as a way to gain material wealth or success. Rather, it is about co-creating with the universe from a place of deep trust and alignment. We begin to recognize that we are not separate from the world around us. We are an integral part of it. Our intentions and actions are part of the larger dance of existence, and when we align with the divine light, we become active participants in the creation of our reality. Whether it is in our career, our personal lives, or our spiritual journey, we begin to manifest not through struggle or effort, but through the natural flow of divine energy. One of the final and most significant impacts of the divine light activation is the transcendence of fear. Fear is often the greatest obstacle that prevents us from stepping into our full potential, keeping us locked in old patterns of limitation, doubt, and separation. But when we awaken to the light within, fear loses its power. The more we align with our divine essence, the more we recognize that we are eternal beings, unshackled by the limitations of time, space, and death. We understand that fear is merely an illusion, an energetic frequency that arises from a false belief that we are separate from the divine. When we activate the divine light within, we dissolve this fear, replacing it with trust, love, and the knowing that we are always supported by the infinite universe. Fear may still arise, but it no longer has the same grip on us. We can face challenges with courage, knowing that we are connected to divine flow and that we are never alone. In this space of trust, we begin to act from a place of power and authenticity, unafraid to take risks, pursue our dreams, and step into our fullest potential. The divine light activation is not just a spiritual awakening. It is a complete shift in how we live and experience the world. It calls us to recognize that we are not separate from the divine, but are intimately connected to it. It invites us to live with greater awareness, compassion, and authenticity, and to co-create a reality that reflects the beauty and abundance of the universe. By embracing this light, we transform ourselves and, in turn, the world around us. As we approach the end of this exploration into the divine light activation, we stand on the precipice of a profound awakening. The knowledge of the divine light is not an external force to be sought, but an inherent part of who we are, opens the door to an entirely new way of living. It invites us to reimagine our existence, not as a fleeting experience bound by time and limitation, but as an eternal journey of remembering and rediscovery. We are not separate from the divine, we are expressions of it. The divine light is already within us, and the key to activation lies in remembering and embracing it. The activation of this divine light is not a singular, one-time event. It is a continuous process, a state of being that deepens over time. It is an ongoing journey of unfolding, where each moment becomes an opportunity to align more fully with the truth of who we are. And as we do, we experience not only personal transformation, but also a profound shift in how we perceive and interact with the world. The world is not a place of fear, scarcity, and separation. It is a living, breathing reflection of the divine, a sacred dance in which we are all participants. What they don't want you to know about the divine light activation is that it is not something reserved for a select few, nor is it hidden behind veils of mystery or esoteric knowledge. It is available to everyone at any moment. The only requirement is a willingness to awaken, to shift from the old paradigms of limitation and fear, and to embrace the divine truth that has always been within us. The truth is simple. We are divine. The light is within us, waiting to be activated, and it is the activation of this light that holds the power to transform not only our own lives, but the world around us. To embrace the divine light activation is to let go of the illusions that have kept us in the dark. It is to release the fear, the doubt, the separateness that have kept us small, and to step into the infinite potential that lies within us. It is not about seeking something outside ourselves, but about awakening to what has always been there, hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be recognized. In practical terms, this means making the conscious decision to align ourselves with the light every day. It means choosing to live with awareness, presence, and compassion, recognizing that every moment is an opportunity to connect with the divine. It means letting go of the need to control and instead trusting the flow of life, knowing that the universe is always supporting us. As we do this, we begin to see our reality shift. We move from a life driven by fear and struggle to a life driven by love and light. We see opportunities instead of obstacles, connection instead of separation, abundance instead of scarcity. This is not to say that the journey will always be easy. The activation of the divine light within may bring challenges, as it forces us to confront the illusions that have shaped our lives. But it is through these challenges that we grow, that we shed the layers of fear and limitation, and that we emerge into the fullness of our divine potential. The light may shine brightest in moments of darkness, revealing the path forward when all seems uncertain. And in these moments, we remember we are eternal beings, connected to the source of all that is. As we embrace the divine light activation, we become not just passive recipients of the light, but active co-creators in the universe. We realize that the light within us is not just for us alone, it is for the world. When we activate this light, we illuminate not only our own path, but the paths of those around us. We become beacons of light in a world that so often feels consumed by darkness. Our presence becomes a reflection of the divine, a reminder that love, unity, and abundance are not distant ideals, but the very essence of who we are. Now, the time has come to step into the light. The veil that once obscured your vision is lifting, and the divine truth is emerging from within. You are not separate from the divine. You are the divine, expressed in human form. The activation of this light is not something you need to seek or wait for. It is already within you, waiting for you to remember. The question is, are you ready to embrace it? The world needs this light, now more than ever. It needs those who are willing to remember, to step into their true power and to shine. This is not just a personal journey. It is a collective awakening. As more of us activate our divine light, we raise a collective consciousness, creating ripples of love, compassion, and unity that spread out into the world, transforming everything they touch. So, I ask you, are you ready to step into your light? Are you ready to remember who you truly are? The path is before you, and the light is within you. All that is required is your willingness to awaken, to surrender the old stories, and to embrace the divine truth of your being. When you do, you will discover that you are not alone, that the entire universe is conspiring to support your awakening. The divine light activation is not just a concept. It is your birthright. It is time to claim it. Thank you for walking this path with me. May the light within you shine brighter than ever before, guiding you toward the highest truth and the deepest joy.